Hey everyone. So I had a lot of difficulty setting up the Facebook Live. I guess I should have played with that before I said I was going to do it. Anyway, we'll get that figured out. In the interim, I'm using some other software to capture this video, and I will be posting it momentarily, the second really that I'm done recording here. My name is Tammy, and I am the co-founder of the Institute of Child Psychology. We've seen multiple emails and messages on Facebook of people asking us, how do we talk to our kids about what's going on with COVID-19? And the biggest response, I think, has been about children feeling isolated because they can't see their friends, kids worried that they're going to fall behind in school, and kids who just aren't asking questions at all, which would be my 6-year-old and my 3-year-old right now. So I think first I want to start with the lightest, which is if your kids don't have a lot of questions, that is absolutely fine. They don't need to have questions. All you need to say to them is, I am here if you have any questions about what is going on right now. And you don't need to stress about it. That's okay if they don't have that. And we would only offer information as they requested it anyway. It doesn't mean we don't put ourselves out there and we say, honey, there's a lot going on in the world, and I know you must have noticed we're staying home. Mom and dad are staying home. Do you have any questions? And it might have been that they heard something before at school, but now most kids, anyway, in North America, aren't in school. So it's okay for them not to ask questions. Second, it's okay for you not to know. It's totally fine for you not to know an answer. Again, I said this in my other video that I posted. You just say, let's look that up together and make sure before you do this, you actually have reputable information. So, for instance, we're in Canada, we would go in Alberta, this is a province we're in, we would go to Alberta Health Services, or maybe the Center for Disease Control, or the National Trauma Child Support Network. Like, make sure it's a reputable source. Or it's saying, you know what, I don't know right now, but I'm going to find that information and we're going to talk later tonight. So that way we're not subjecting kids to misinformation or creating undue panic when there's already panic going on. Let's next tackle big feelings. You can say something as, life can be really scary sometimes, but you don't need to worry, honey. This is for adults to worry about, and we're going to take care of you. You're safe with us. At the end of the day, this isn't meant, that response, number one, is not meant, I guess that would be two because we talked about not knowing. So response number two being, we want to validate the feelings, because if we've got a child who's anxious, we don't want to just brush it off and say it's going to be fine. So it's important in terms of connecting with the right hemisphere of the brain. When we name the feelings, we see the left hemisphere of the brain actually secreting chemicals in the brain that calm the overactive right hemisphere down. So always name the feeling. Dr. Daniel Siegel says name it to tame it is very important. And kids need to know that we have control of what's going on in our house. And you do have control when you are isolating yourselves to a very good extent. And even if you feel like you don't, this is one of those instances where I'm going to ask you to fake this till you make it. Because kids need to feel like you have got it. You've got control of what's going on with them. You're going to take care of them and you're not going anywhere. Another question that came in from a mom was her son had written some things down, and she was very concerned about, he was concerned more or less about falling behind. And I would say to parents, and I'm a former teacher, an elementary teacher, and I have a ton of family members and friends and colleagues who are teachers. And we're all kind of in the same frame of reference. Every child is in their class anyway, or in their school, and I think in North America anyway, we're all school has ended. It's all online, if there's even that available to kids. I think all kids are behind. So honey, you say this to your child, honey, no child is in school right now. And teachers are going to do everything they can to hit the restart button in September or whenever you go back to school. So you might feel behind, but all the kids feel like they're falling far behind. So everybody is the same boat, and you will catch up together when you go back to school. So there's a response you can give to an overwhelmed maybe tweener or teenager about this. Another one about the virus. So let's look at another one here. You can talk about the virus saying, maybe you've heard about coronavirus And it's a virus that can make people sick. And it means you can't go to school or see your friends. But we have to take care of ourselves, and we have to take care of other people. So we have to ensure that we wash our hands and we stay at our house, but it will be over soon when everybody does this. Okay. And then there is the ones where they're scared that people aren't following the rules, that there's people out there they're seeing maybe in social media or seeing kids on the street or teenagers walking around. And I think it's as simple as really drawing attention to that kids, most kids, if not all kids, are not going to get sick from this. So I first say, kids and teenagers are probably not going to be harmed by this virus, because right now there aren't kids getting sick. It's mostly people who are older and people who have been very, very sick before. These kids can carry the virus. So we want to make sure we're doing our job. These kids aren't making great choices, but we want to do our job to make sure everyone is safe. And there are more people right now staying inside than there are people going outside and seeing people. And, we want to maybe draw attention to a loved one in their life that they want to protect, a person they've met in the past, whoever that is that's maybe older or has a more compromised immune system. We say, think of somebody we love who we want to keep safe. Well, we're helping. You're doing your job like a superhero to keep them safe when we stay home. So that's something you can say. And I love that idea of the superheroes, actually, is because most kids aren't impacted by this. As far as I knew yesterday when I checked the stats before making this video, no child had died from this. It's mostly immune compromised and the elderly. And I am not saying their lives are worth less than ours, and we're talking about talking to kids. The fact is, kids seem to be less impacted. They're carriers. They're just as likely to be carriers, but they're not impacted in the same way. So we can say to kids, lots of people can get sick from this, but it's mostly older people and people who have been very, very ill before. But you're a kid and you're healthy. And it's like you have superpowers, because kids aren't getting sick from this. So now if you're religious, you say, let's say a prayer. And if you're not, let's think good thoughts, or let's send positive wishes to other people who are getting sick, because they need your superpowers right now. And then also just highlight how safe they are with you, that you're not going anywhere, that you've got things under control, that you'll always be together. These kinds of things are very, very helpful for kids in these situations. And again, I prefaced this in my last video. Please keep kids off of social media. Keep the news away from kids. It's too much for their brains. The part of their brain, the hippocampus, that is in charge of filtering out too much sensory stimulation, is poorly developed in children. We do not need to inundate an undeveloped brain in terms of creating panic. That doesn't mean we can't educate, but it means we're we're a filter for them, essentially, in where they get their information and what that looks like, and the delivery of that. That is going to help mitigate the anxiety so much. And then the last piece, which Tanya, my business partner, did a piece on parental resilience already. If you've got an anxious child, you need to consider putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. Because if you're not okay, your child's not okay. So take care of your emotions. They're the utmost importance in a crisis like this for everybody. So I'm extending my heart to you and my thoughts to you. I'm quarantined as well right now and not going anywhere. So I'm working only from my computer and a camera. And we're doing everything we can to help from where we're sitting. And so best wishes to you, and hopefully we'll make a few more of these in the upcoming weeks.